Recording from the heart of Providence, Rhode Island, you are listening to the Red Card Report podcast. If you like the show, head over to iTunes, leave us a review, and even share the podcast with your friends. Also, don't forget to hit the follow or subscribe button on any of your favorite podcast apps so you get all the latest updates and never miss an episode. Thanks for tuning in this week. We hope you enjoy the show. Welcome back to another episode of the Red Card Report podcast. I'm your host, Dylan Ponte, and I'm here with Rui Pereira and Joe Capuano.
Yo.
I would ask how you guys are doing, but I already know that you're having a pretty rough time today, Rui.
I'm okay, man. I promise.
Are you sure?
Okay, so you're okay today. You were not okay a few days ago.
Yeah.
During the Milan Derby.
I was okay. I took it like a man, right, Joe?
Yeah, after you were done yelling at the TV and said, "Oh, this game's bullshit."
It was bullshit.
Oh, I'm sick of this. This whole league shit. Oh, blah, blah. And you stormed off.
I didn't say the league is shit. I said the officiating in the league is shit.
Joe,
and that is a proven fact.
I stand corrected.
This league is not shit like, some of the anti-Serie A fans like to say. The EPL fans, they like to say this league's a farmers league. It's not a farmers league. But besides the fact the officiating was atrocious, I'm not saying that it benefited Inter. It didn't. It was just frustrating seeing some of the calls I saw, and I just,
Let it all out, man. Let it out.
I don't know. I think the great legends, the Italian legends, they're known for being great defenders, the best defenders of all time, and they see clean tackles today that are called fouls constantly in this league. It's ridiculous. I don't even know if they could even play.
Bottom line is, Joe and I had to kind of let you do your own thing for a solid 30, 40 minutes waiting for you to cool down before we could actually get back into our normal routine.
Yeah, and then we played FIFA and he was back to normal.
Yeah, man, I just need to blow some steam. It was a tough loss. I felt that we could have came away with the tie at the end. We didn't play our best game. Inter played very, very, very well, especially in the first half. I was really getting aggravated by that, but I really liked the fight that we had. We showed some sort of character after we conceded the second goal, where a lot of teams would just go into a mental collapse and just die out, but we showed fight. We pulled one back shortly. We let up an unfortunate penalty kick. Then we responded again. There was fight there. I felt like after the second goal, we really picked things up, and it was just unfortunate. At the end of the game, Milan had a few opportunities for them to equalize, and it didn't happen.
So for those of you who may not know or who may not have watched the game, this past weekend was the second game of the Milan Derby in Serie A. Inter ended up beating AC Milan 3-2 after a late victory in the first game with a very, very late goal from Mauro Icardi.
Yep.
In was it the 94th?
It was practically the last kick of the game.
Yeah.
He scored. Yeah. That was when Inter was the home team. That leg. That
AC
fixture.
Milan
was the home team this game.
Yeah. But yeah, again, the score was 3-2. Vecino opened the scoring up in the third minute, and things kind of settled down for a little bit. Inter kind of dominated the game in that first half.
Yep.
De Vrij opened up the second half in the 51st minute, scoring a goal. Bakayoko came back pretty quickly in the 57th. Then there was a really, really tough penalty just outside of the box that Rui was not very happy with.
It was a penalty.
A penalty call in the 67th minute where Lautaro Martinez converted, put Inter back up 3-1, and then Musacchio in the 71st.
Yeah, pulled one back.
Yeah, pulled one back, but
yeah, it was a little too late at that point.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great response. It was just 4 or 5 minutes after Inter took a 2-goal lead. It's a great response. It really sparked the team. Milan continued to play very well towards the last 35 minutes. I would say they played extremely well. definitely dominated the game, but it's just not enough. You have to dominate the game more in order to beat a rival like Inter, because the way Inter played in the first half, they were very unfortunate to not at least go into the half with 2, maybe even 3 goals.
Yeah.
Pacino had one. He was sitting right in front of the net, and he put one over the bar and wide. It was an atrocious shot. I can guarantee you almost anyone on the other team, on his team, would have put that one away, because it was just a sitter.
Yeah.
And it was closer. I believe it was right in the penalty, probably closer than a penalty shot. He was inside the penalty spot, and he just sent it away.
Yeah,
Didn't
a lot
capitalize.
of lucky breaks.
Knowing that Inter Milan played so well in that first half, and overall they had a very good game.
Mhm.
They definitely outplayed Milan and maintained possession. They were overpowering for the entire 90 minutes. With all that being said, how bad of a loss is this for AC Milan?
It's a tough loss, because you never want to lose a derby ever, especially when you lost the first one of the season. You always want to win these big games, or at least walk away with a draw, the bare minimum. You never want to go home with a defeat. But it's a tough loss. But Milan have been on a great stretch this year, in this calendar year.
Yeah, from 2019.
They haven't
on.
lost a single game in Serie A. The only game that they lost was in the Supercoppa back in the beginning of the year. They didn't even have Piatek in that game. But overall, I can't be too upset about the recent performance that Milan have had. They've only dropped 2 games where they were both draws. The rest they won. They went 10 games unbeaten. They went, for the first 2 months of the year, they were the best defense in Europe in terms of goals conceded. Of course, there's other factors that determine who is the actual best defense in the world. But I can't complain at all. Milan's got a couple of games ahead of them, Sampdoria and Udinese, before they go against Juventus. They need to win those 2 games going into Juventus.
Yeah, those are going to be the games where they need to get those points in order to push up.
Yeah,
more
they need to get those
in the table.
They need to get those wins. I would be content with 6 points, and then whatever happens in Turin, it happens. Hopefully, it's closer. I don't know exactly when the next Champions League leg is for Juventus, but if it's around that time, Milan might be lucky, because Juventus is just so far ahead in the table. Juventus might just sit some of their starters against that game, and Milan could probably take a win, hopefully. And if they're all going to be playing, Milan's got to play the best that they can and walk away with at least a draw.
I guess at the end of the day, what Rui and I both agree on is that I don't think that this is something Milan needs to really worry about in the immediate future. I guess Milan needs to see where the rest of the chasing pack also ends up. That's Roma and Lazio, pretty much the people trailing them for 4th spot. But yeah, overall, I wouldn't be too disappointed with this. Still a decent showing, a lot of heart in that performance, and I'm confident that they can reclaim 3rd place.
Yeah, so as the standings stand right now, Juventus is in 1st place with 75 points. Napoli far behind in 2nd place with 60. But then you have Inter and AC Milan battling it out for that 3rd spot. After this last game, after the Derby, Inter is now in 3rd place with 53 points, and Milan is right behind them in 51. So where does Inter go from here? Do they have any shot at all at catching Napoli? Do they have? Should they be concerned? Or
look, Inter's not a scrub team by any means. A lot of people had them pegged for 2nd place at the start of the season. A lot of stuff didn't go their way. They have a lot of talent, and I think it says something when they're still getting results in the league despite not having one of their more talented players in the lineup. Yeah, I mean, going back to the previous question too, you can't discredit Milan for losing this game against a team with so much talent. Where do they go from here? They need to rely on their really talented defense, and if they played every game or opened up every game like they did this derby, then they could cement their spot for third place. And I mean, I don't think it's out of the possibility that they could even challenge Napoli if Napoli, somehow fall apart.
Yeah. The way Inter came out in this game this was the best football that they played all season long. And there were stretches this year where Inter looked really, really strong. And over the last couple of months, they've really struggled. They've dropped so many points to teams that they should have beat. They lost to Cagliari just last week before this game.
Yep, and they got knocked out of the Europa League.
They got knocked out of the Europa League. Everything was really falling apart. Everything seemed to be falling apart to them, but it's, they persevered. This was they really showed up in the biggest stage for them right now. They really needed this performance to get themselves back on track. And kudos to them. I didn't expect this from them. I thought they were just broken. Obviously, as you mentioned, they have a talented squad. Whether or not they have Icardi, they're still a good team. They're capable of getting results. But it was just disappointing on the Milan's part because they've been playing so well. Whether they've been playing well or they've been playing shaky, Milan had that champion's mentality of still just kind of grinding out, getting these tough wins, whether you're having a bad day or not, where they weren't doing earlier this season.
Yeah.
Where they were having a bad game and then they would either lose or they would let something up and just settle for a draw instead of a win, but you're not seeing it in this half of the season.
Yeah. Before you get to your next question, Dylan, I want to see if Rui agrees with me on this one, and you might. The first 60 minutes of the game, the one thing that I noticed the most was that there was a ton of space on the field that Inter just seemed to occupy. I don't know if that was Gattuso's game plan, or if the defense just kept getting pushed back because of Inter's pressing. But I feel like that's what led to the first two goals, was pretty much all the space that was wide open. Vecino was just getting straight into the box. I think that was the Achilles heel that really did it in for Gattuso's game plan, because he couldn't figure out how to effectively mark him out of the game.
Yeah, I felt that Milan couldn't track back fast enough. They were, you look at the statistics in the first half. It was pretty balanced when it came to possession, but you saw Inter really pressing and attacking very fast, really utilizing that counterattack, and Milan were really shaky on getting back. The only person that was really tracking back was Bakayoko. He was all over the pitch, whether he was winning balls in the middle of the field and pushing forward, or just dropping back and just disrupting whatever Inter had in front of him. And yeah, Inter did very well utilizing that extra space. It seemed like they had that extra player on the pitch, and Milan was playing like a man down with one less.
Yeah, was that because of Kessié? I feel like Kessié was... I didn't know what to make of him.
And not just Kessié, because I don't think this was one of his best games at all this year.
And he got into a fight with Big.
Yeah,
did you see that?
Yeah, but that's
maybe that we'll talk about that later. Maybe.
But for one person that really stood out for me was Paquetá. He was just not himself. He was not tracking back. Yeah, he's not a defensive player, but he does have a pretty high work rate, and he does track back well. In this game, he looked dead. I don't know if he was sick, if he
tired,
had some sort of or just tired. And Gattuso took him out right after halftime.
Yeah, maybe
he was subbed out. I don't know.
Tired.
He just did not look like himself. There was something going on. This is just like rumors. People say that there was an injury. It was just a completely bad night. That's why these are just rumors that are floating around saying the reason that he was taken out so early. And he wasn't having a great
game, but he wasn't. Yeah.
Overall, the defensive play for Milan in this game was pretty poor.
Yeah.
And how much does that worry you moving forward? Because I know in particular when we were watching that game, you were extremely frustrated with the play of Rodriguez.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, good point. Yeah, another guy who didn't have a great night.
I do. Yeah, I do like Ricardo Rodriguez, but he works really hard. I think he's gotten a lot better on the defensive aspect of the game since last season. I think he's done really well improving, but I just don't feel that he's enough. He's a good player.
Sell him. That's what you were saying during the game.
He's a good player. When it comes, I don't want to say he's good with the ball going forward.
Yeah.
But when he's in a position of putting the ball in the box, crossing, he's incredible. Absolutely incredible. He's very accurate on putting the ball in the box. My only issue with him is him getting up there because he's not really good with the ball at his feet. And
he struggled a lot
with
in this
him
game.
tracking back after.
Yeah, he did. He seemed to. He seemed to really struggle this game.
Yeah, he was really getting.
His first touch was poor, and Inter was all over him the second that he got the ball.
Yeah,
he just couldn't really control it. His dribbling wasn't that great.
The first goal that Inter scored officially started on his side with the cross coming in from Milan's left. Okay, and then it came inside. It was also poor marking on Calabria, where the initial header, the second header came in as a cross, and then Vicino was there to just put it away. And then on the penalty, also came from the left side.
It did.
And it forced Samu Castillejo to do something extremely stupid, which was his fault. He stuck his foot out. And it was great. It was great. I don't know. I think it was Gagliardini.
No, it was definitely Politano. Yeah, because Gagliardini, I remember, had a bandage around his head.
So he saw the referee once he went out of the box. He saw it and he initiated the contact. Foolish on Castillejo's part.
Yeah, he fell for it.
But when it comes to the Milan's defense, I'm not really concerned. They've proven to be to play very well lately, especially after the
after the first
break.
Part of the year, yeah, definitely
since December,
better.
When Milan was that month of December where they couldn't score a goal for like 3 or 4 games straight, their defense was holding their ground. And they played well in January. They played well in February. They played well in March up until the last game.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those off nights for them, and I'm expecting them to play as they have been lately. Romagnoli's been a brick wall all year, and Musacchio, he's been doing pretty well.
Yeah, after a poor first start. Yeah.
Yep, and I like the combination of having Andrea Conti and Calabria on the right. My biggest, I would say, our Achilles heel of our defense is probably Rodriguez.
So on the other side of the ball, 2 players in particular had great performances, De Vrij and Skriniar. With Godin expected to join Inter next season, will that change things, and will those guys still be able to perform at a high level?
Here's my thing. I'll admit I don't watch enough La Liga. I haven't seen Diego Godin play in a back 3. I'm sure he can play in a back 3 because he's an incredible defender. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that him, De Vrij, and Skriniar can all play in a back 3 and do incredibly well. That is a loaded back line right there. This is also assuming that if the rumors are true that I've been hearing, that Antonio Conte is going to be going to Inter, he will definitely have 3 at the back, and I can almost guarantee you that is what the lineup would be. Those back 3. Yeah, I gotta say, I think that he'll be right at home with those 2 at the back.
Yeah, I think so. I think they might go with a 3 in the back because Skriniar is actually pretty impressive with the ball at his feet. He can be used as the middle center back of that back 3, where he's the one that's going to be distributing and creating up the build-ups from the back. He's pretty good at that, and he can also play defensive midfielder. So he has quality at his feet. He's
played there before.
He has good passing skills. He has great vision for a center back. So I think he would be the guy in the middle, and then you have Godin and De Vrij on right next to him. So I think that could work. If not, if they stick with a 4 in the back, that rotation, because Godin is up in age.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll play 26, 27, maybe 30 games of the league games next year and probably just save him for the Champions Leagues. Have De Vrij in for the Coppa Italia.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That would be a different situation.
Yeah,
the whole
they
rotational.
can, if anything, they can use Godin and De Vrij in a rotational
like
method.
three, like sometimes play three at the back, sometimes play four at the back.
It all depends. All depends
On
how
who's
the
the coach,
manager wants to go about with the defense, and also it depends on who they're playing against, because whoever the manager is, whether it's Spalletti or Conte or whoever it may be,
Spalletti.
they might change the formation depending on who their opponent is. You don't know. But with having Godin on their team, you just have that much flexibility, just that extra option. So you can. It's really good for a team to do that, to have extra options, and it can really disrupt the game plan of
whoever
the other team, whoever they're playing against.
Right.
So 2 more questions before we end up finishing up here. Does Gattuso still deserve to be on the Milan bench?
Yeah, that's been a question that's been thrown out a little bit in the last couple of days after this huge loss. He so deserves to be on the bench, and he should be the coach next year. Unless if everything just tanks and they fail to make it to the CL next year, then okay. But as of right now, there's no way that you can be disappointed with the performance that Gattuso has had this year. Yes, he's made some questionable substitutions this year that have cost us points. But you know what? He's a young manager. I think he's a really good man manager. He's good at reuniting the team when the team is down, as you've seen earlier this year. They started off really rocky, and he still managed to pick them up and get them back on track. He's still new to this. I think he's getting better each week, and I think he has the potential of being an actual coach, an actual respectable coach, which he is right now. But in terms of being one of the better coaches in the long run, I think he has the capability of it. It's just going to take time. He's new to this. As of right now, I'm content with what he's done, especially having the new transfers that they received in January. How he's been able to utilize and how utilize them, and how they've already been performing. Both Paquetá and Piatek, they've been playing very well since they arrived. And Gattuso, whatever Gattuso's doing, his methods, they're working as of right now.
Yeah, I just go back to the period of time where Milan was decimated with injuries, and he still pulled off pretty respectable results. Yeah, some of them weren't wins, but if you had to like scrape the bottom of the barrel and still come up with draws, that I would take that any day. He was working miracles with Milan, honestly, and I agree with you, really. He deserves and has earned that spot next season to be the coach. And I feel like he also has the dressing room. He has the respect of the players, and that makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
He integrated, like you said, the two players, Piatek and Paquetá, right away. It was like they've been playing for months.
And one
couldn't
game,
even tell.
One game shouldn't dictate whether or not he should keep his job. This game
would have been nice to come out with a win.
Oh, absolutely.
Sure. Yeah, but no way that you can hold it against him for this one performance, especially after everything that he did.
Because their shot of even being in third place is still a good shot, because Inter's got such a tough schedule coming up. That the remaining 10 games, 5 of them, they're tough opponents. So they have some work to do. Milan's schedule's a little bit easier, especially like the last 4 games that they have. They should be wins.
Got to see if they get those wins.
But on top of that, you look at Bakayoko too.
Yeah, transformed Bakayoko.
Look at Bakayoko, and the reason why is because, and Bakayoko has said this out. It's because of Gattuso. He gave me the extra oomph, the juice, the belief. He had belief in me. That's what he says, to do well. And he always had faith in him, and he had the potential. And look at him now. He's just out. Milan's best player,
yeah,
most
he's
consistent player.
MVPs.
Him and Romagnoli have been the most consistent players since late November, early December.
I bet you Chelsea's really kicking themselves that they gave Bakayoko to Milan.
Well, it's not finalized yet.
Not yet, but you better sign him.
I think so.
Yeah, like I said, I don't really particularly care for that question. It gets thrown around a lot still. I think Gattuso has done enough to cement his position as manager for the time being.
There are naysayers, man. There are people who want him gone.
Yeah, I know, and that's why I put the question in there, just because it's a topic that kind of doesn't go away.
Yeah.
So even though I don't agree with it at all, it's it's unfortunately that's what people are talking about. So you kind of have to.
Believe me, I'm a Juve
I felt like
fan.
I had to throw it in there. So
I'm a Juve fan. Half my fan base wants our coach gone. What do you want?
Me included.
Yeah, I know.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, Milan Twitter, some people want Gattuso gone. That's
you're gonna always get those.
Always.
Doesn't matter what fan base.
Right.
You're always gonna get them.
Mm-hmm.
Does this loss concern you on how Milan will finish the season?
No, this loss. No, I feel Milan have. Well, not that I feel. I know that Milan have had a great stretch. The last 10, 11 matches that they've been in, they played very well. They've dropped very few points in that time span. This run had to come to an end at some point, and I'd rather lose to a. I wouldn't.
I know you wouldn't want.
Lose.
Yeah.
I hate to lose against Inter, but I'd rather drop points to a bigger team than dropping points to a bottom of the table or a mid-table team. This is always a game that's a toss up, and you're always looking into this matchup as, all right, if it's a tie, it's not bad. A win would be an incredible result. And the loss is obviously the last resort. But when it comes throughout the entire 38 game schedule, and knowing what your goal is to be third place, but you want to be minimum fourth, it's okay to look at the bigger teams as if, all right, the worst case scenario, if we lose to them against Inter, we lose to Juve, we lose to Napoli, we have to perform against the smaller teams.
Yeah. If you had told me at the beginning of the year that Milan was going to be fighting for third place, I would have been like, nope, no way. Here we are. They're in the top four. They clawed their way up from January till now. I mean, incredible. They jumped in the standings. Sure, they might have needed a little bit of good fortune with some of the other teams, like I said previously, Roma and Lazio, the two other teams that are really chasing the rest of the pack for those Champions League spots. But no, to answer the question, no, I'm not worried that about this loss at all. And I'd be willing to bet that come the end of the year, I bet you they'll leapfrog Inter for third place.
I think so too.
Yeah, I was just about to ask that.
Sorry.
Where do you? No, that's fine. Where did I was going to say, where do you think that Milan will be able to jump Inter?
Yeah. There's a reason why Inter's called Pazza Inter sometimes, crazy Inter. That's because they do crazy stuff, like play a center back as a striker sometimes. So yeah, anything can happen.
Do you think either of them have a shot at catching Napoli?
I think that Napoli is too talented of a squad that play really well. They would need to have an immense train wreck of results for that to happen. So I think second place is out of the question, but third place, definitely doable. There is always hope for that.
Yeah, I think third place. I think they'll still finish third place regardless of this.
Milan or Inter?
Milan. The last couple of months we've seen Inter drop points to small clubs.
Yep.
And you know what? Against the big clubs, the bigger teams, they've actually been playing pretty well. Outside of you just erase Juventus. Against all the other big clubs, against Napoli, against Milan, against Lazio, against Roma, I think they've been the best team out of all those five.
Yeah.
Compared to everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
In that list. Even Napoli, because they beat Napoli. Yep. And they played Inter played very well against Juventus the first time. In the first half.
They had some opportunities.
That game could have ended as a draw or even an Inter win. I don't know what it is. They perform in the biggest matches. They play very well in the big matches, but they drop points to a team like Cagliari. They drop points to Atalanta. Well, Atalanta's a pretty respectable team, but they got blown out by Atalanta.
Pazza Inter, man.
I don't know, and I believe at one point they were 8 points ahead of Milan, 8 or 9 points.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the gap was pretty big.
Yeah, in the beginning of January, once Milan got to 4th place, I believe it was after the Napoli draw, where they were expected to go down to 5th because Roma was supposed to win and
they
pass Milan, but they didn't.
That didn't happen.
At that point, I believe Inter were about 8 points or 9 points ahead of Milan, and look where the gap was. Well, look where it is now. Milan was just ahead by 1 point, and now they're just 2 after the loss. So I think it can work. I think Milan will finish in 3rd because they have an easier schedule coming up compared to Inter.
Any chance of Roma overtaking either Milan or Inter?
Not.
And one of those teams falling out of
Champions League.
Yeah.
The likelihood is very low. I don't want to say it's not possible because it definitely is, but the likelihood is low. That Roma defense.
Right now, they're sitting 6 points behind Inter and 4 behind Milan.
Yeah, so it's not exactly the largest of gaps. It's something that Roma could overcome. Well, I think they do. I think that they can do that. Not the way that they're letting in goals left and right now. That defense is in shambles. They have a caretaker manager in Claudio Ranieri, who's not going to be, I don't think he's going to be a permanent fixture. He's literally just going to be there until the end of the season.
If you look at just to support your point, if you look at the top 5 teams in Serie A right now, Juve, Napoli, Inter, Milan, Roma, in that order, their goals against: Juve 19, Napoli 23, Inter 24, Milan 26, and then Roma 39.
Oh my God!
So a big discrepancy there.
That's
their defense
huge.
has been very.
That's
poor.
their weak point.
Right.
Is their defense. If Roma wants to have hope of keeping any of their good players, i.e., like Zaniolo, and not selling them, they better claw their way up to the UCL standings because they need that money. But like I said, I don't see it happening. I don't think that they have that much fight in them, and I think Milan does.
And one thing too, Lazio. Lazio is playing against Inter next, and they're one game less. They played 1 game less than everyone else.
Correct.
In the league. So if they win, right?
Say they win.
If they win,
they're at 45.
Minus,
they're at 45 right now.
Yeah. If they win, they're gonna surpass Roma by 1 point to 5th place, and they'll be 3 points behind AC Milan. Okay.
Right.
They're playing against Inter. This is the biggest game for Lazio right here. If they can walk away with 3 points,
it's always them.
It's going to be an open. It's going to be an open field for 4th.
This is insane because this was the situation last year. Only it was the very last game of the season.
Yeah, that was ironic.
Inter Lazio. This is just deja vu all over again.
That was the way last season ended was absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
The winner walks away to
the Champions League and the other Europa League.
I think it's going to be a lot more open than we think. Lazio looked like they were out just a few weeks ago, but the last 2 games they performed so well. They defeated AS Roma.
Yeah, by the biggest margin in a long time.
3-0. And they played well this past weekend. They're -1 game right now, and they're potentially 3 points from 4th place.
So you think that if out of those teams remaining, the one most likely to hop Inter or AC Milan for that 4th spot would be Lazio?
I think so, because they just got a new coach, starting to work well. And we see this when managers take over. They usually just go through this run, this majestic run of like picking up points and dropping very few. Maybe it could work. It could happen. It all depends. Lazio does have a tough schedule coming up as well, but this game against Inter, if they win, I wouldn't write them out at all.
Yeah, that'll shake up the standings for sure.
All right, well, thanks again, everyone, for joining us on this episode of the Red Card Report podcast. As always, if you like the show, head over to iTunes, leave us a rating and a review. Also, don't forget to hit the follow or subscribe button. Get all the latest updates and notifications. Lastly, be sure to just check us out on Instagram and Facebook. Our Instagram and Facebook is @RedCardReport, and also you can check us out on Twitter, which is @RCR_podcast. Thanks again for listening, and join us next time on another edition of the Red Card Report.